Hello, Miguel. Nice to sit finally and speak a bit. So, yeah, I have been enjoying very much the working with the music and helping you mastering and so forth. The release that's coming up now, and I'm very pleased that finally that we can sit down and have a chat. You have a very rich and varied history, and you have performed and worked with people that are very well known in the music field, and you have a very unique approach to making music. You use glass to create your music, which I think is fantastic, poetic, and very attractive. But how does one arrive at that? That's also...
Well, it's interesting because I'm sort of cycling back to where I started, which was with electronics. In the mid-70s, I worked with a big Moog synthesizer at the local university, and so through electronics is what got me involved in glass, because I was attempting to make sort of 70s electronic music with no electricity, and so that's how the Glass Orchestra started in Toronto, and some of the basic principles of making electronic music is sort of similar to glass. I mean, you have things modulating against one another and vibrations that co-vibrate and things like that. So there's a lot of, and glass is such a mysterious substance.
Yeah, and such a long history. If we look at our culture, I mean, man's first use of glass, is it the Romans, or do you know the history of glass? And we know that there were glass instruments also that Beethoven wrote for.
Right. Well, there's some, and Pythagoras, is that his name?
I think it is, so yes.
We can edit that out. No, when Pythagoras was doing his tuning experiments, he would use filled glass vessels, and there's some ancient Persian paintings of people playing glass instruments, and it was actually very popular in the 1800s, but it was banned because they used glass with very high lead content, and they were using the finger against the vibrating the rim of the glass, and a lot of that lead would seep into the blood system, and so glass musicians basically went bonkers, and so it was sort of banned because of that. But one of the reasons. But also, the term mesmerize, when you become, it's not quite hypnotized, it's sort of, you become mesmerized by something that is directly related to the glass harp, to the glass harmonica or the glass harp, because Anton Mesmer, who that term is named after, used glass instruments to hypnotize or to mesmerize his patients. He would go behind a screen and start making these ethereal sounds that his patients wouldn't know what they were, where it was coming from.
Yes, it's true. It's very ethereal, and also when you perform, you have a vast array of glass of different forms and shapes.
Yeah, well, I'm not doing the finger against the wine glass so much these days, because that's sort of what people expect, and I've been doing it for so long that I have a lot of broken things. So I mainly play broken glass at this point. So, because it's when, I've used the phrase the tyranny of the whole. When a glass bowl is together, it's just one pitch. But as soon as it breaks while you're performing with it, because it breaks at a harmonic juncture, it releases it into all these different tones. I mean, one broken bowl can have 4 or 5 different tones to it. I mean, close by, but microtonal.
Yeah, because on your release, the composition Standing Breakage for Stan Brakhage, which we'll speak about later. The variety of sounds that you're able to get from the glass is amazing. I hear instruments. I know that they aren't there, but I hear clear trumpets and various instruments. So that's true. It's quite astonishing, the array of sounds that can come from glass.
Yeah. Well, that was one quartz crystal bowl that broke in another, when I was playing it in another concert. And so for this recording, I wanted to continue breaking it and see what would happen when it was continuing. And the damn thing wouldn't break. I was striking it for at least a couple of hours, recording. And at one point I was really whacking that thing, and it refused to break. So there was all these other sounds that were coming out of it because I was like really going at it.
Yeah.
And then I also did the rubbing the finger along the side of the bowl to get those sort of squawky type things.
Yeah. And you process the sounds also a bit with electronics still, is that correct?
I basically just slowed them down and then did some EQ. I either slowed them down a lot and EQ'd it. I didn't really alter the timbre of the sound so much, except for some EQ.
Yeah, yeah. And what's on your mind now in terms of your glass instrument? Because with all the things that you have discovered, you still find things you want to try?
Well, that's the thing. I don't practice because I try to, because it's basically a performative experience for me. It's if I practice, then I will come up with ideas. I mean, the part of the wonderful thing about performing on glass is that you never know when it's going to break, and you don't really, and different combinations of broken elements can create different things. And so I like to keep that spontaneity in the performance, and so I don't, I mean, aside from playing glass for 30 years, I don't actually sit down every day and practice. It's not like a clarinet or something, but actually right now I just got a Buchla synthesizer that I'm hoping that I had been practicing on, so that's something I can really, it gets sort of the same ideas of vibration modulation and things like that are working, but it's something I don't mind actually learning.
Yeah.
Instead of just experiencing, which is what I do with glass.
Yeah, yeah. So you use your experience as a musician to work with the sounds, but your practice and your knowledge of music, has it come about from other areas of performing? I know that you have been very absorbed in gamelan music.
Yeah, in the 80s I did a lot of gamelan. I studied some Javanese gamelan in Solo, and some Balinese stuff in Ubud. But I was mostly involved in the contemporary gamelan movement in the 80s, like the Son of Lion gamelan here in New York, or the Evergreen Club gamelan in Toronto. Yeah. And then I moved to California in the mid-80s to join Bay Area New Gamelan and Berkeley Gamelan.
And you're a composer of opera as well.
Yeah, I just finished an opera out in California about farming, because the director and the tenor, John Dykers and Melissa Weaver, are farmers as well as, well, John's a professional opera singer, and Missy is a performance director, and so they work on a farm half the year and do their art the other half of the year, and so this was a piece that they invited me to collaborate on, about the journey of the seed from soil to plate.
Oh, yes, that's one we like very much. Very apt for an opera as well. Yeah. Yeah.
For that was fun.
Yeah, yeah. I think the last question I just must ask you, because you were speaking about how when you're performing you work with the sound of the glass, that you actually try to break it. When I play a piece of glass, I usually cut my hand, but
there's a difference between breaking it in performance and just dropping something by mistake, because when something breaks from intentionally being vibrated, then it reveals the weaknesses in the structure, and so it breaks along the sort of harmonically correct areas, the thinner areas of the glass, because no glass is perfectly the same thickness all the way around. So yeah, the only times I ever cut myself is either packing up too quickly, but never in performance.
Yeah.
Knock wood.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lars.
Fantastic. Thank you.